Today we're going to be talking about a really important topic, which is the topic of forgiveness. I think the most I've talked about this topic, I think I've got a video, we'll put a link up here for how to forgive yourself or why you should forgive yourself for your past. If you haven't watched that video, if you're struggling with guilt and maybe some toxic shame, watch that video. That video will definitely help you in dealing with that. But today we're going to be talking about forgiving other people and whether or not you should do that, how you do this. If you guys are just joining me for the first time, I'm John from BulldogMindset.com. On this channel, I teach you how to be a man. I teach you how to build financial independence, how to get the physique you want, how to get the girls you want, how to go from the victim mindset to the bulldog mindset. Click that subscribe button. Join us on this journey, and also take the quiz up here in the cards. It'll just take you like 5 minutes, 10 questions. We'll tell you what your bulldog score is from 0 to 100. Let me know what your score is. If you take the quiz, leave a comment down below and click the like button if you haven't already, because you're going to like this video. All right. So let's jump right into the question here. All right. He says, "Hi, John, I have a suggestion to a video topic that I would like to hear you talk about. Forgiveness. I sometimes find it very difficult to let go of the past and forgive people who I believe have wronged me. Therefore, I would like to know how you do when you forgive people. You have already made some helpful videos that are related to this topic, including not putting expectations on people and taking full responsibility for your own life. However, if you think it's worth discussing and making a full video about this topic, I would appreciate it. Thanks, Johnny." So I'm trying to think about where to start with this. So I'm going to say this first of all. Everything that I present to you on this channel comes from a non-religious, non-moralistic viewpoint. It comes from a pragmatic, practical viewpoint, okay? The reason why I say this is because I don't judge you, all right? I don't care what religion you have or the morality of the situation, because I'm not going to come at you from a preachy standpoint saying, oh, you need to do this because of this moralistic reason. Instead, I'm going to appeal to your pragmatic side. I'm going to say, hey, the reason why you need to do this is because it's beneficial to you, because that's the only way to really motivate people. If you notice, guilting people, shaming people, it does not work. Okay, making people feel bad about themselves doesn't work. Does not cause any amount of change in a person at all. Maybe at a surface level, maybe they pretend to be something they're not, but it does not cause them to change. The thing that motivates us and influences us and makes us change our behaviors and change our mind is because we find some benefit in that change for ourselves. Remember that when you're trying to influence someone, you're trying to convince someone of something, you're trying to improve someone's life in some way, the only way that you're going to get through them, the only way that you're actually going to produce a positive change in a person's life is by showing them how what you're saying and we're trying to convince them to do is good for them and will improve their life. Not because it's moralistically right or wrong, not because of some religion, not because of any of those reasons, guilt, shame, none of those things work. Only thing that works to motivate a person to change their life is to show them that they can have something better and that what you're saying is better and will improve their life in some way. Okay, so with that said, the reason why I said all that is because when I talk about forgiveness, again, I'm not talking about it from the biblical perspective. I'm talking about it from the pragmatic perspective, and you shouldn't need to forgive people. Okay. Now here's why you shouldn't need to forgive people. Okay? Again, I can go back to the Marcus Aurelius quote, which says that, no one can harm you unless you allow them to. Okay. That's paraphrasing it, but that's essentially what it means. And so the reason why you should never need to forgive people is because you should never allow people to harm you. Okay. Now again, can people cause you pain? Can they inflict pain upon you? Can they inflict economic or physical or emotional damage upon you? Of course. But it doesn't have to cause you harm, right? The reason why you would need to forgive a person is because if you've taken it as harm, okay? If you've taken offense, there is no need to take offense at anything that anyone ever does to you in your entire life. I know that seems a little extreme. I understand that, but it's 100% true. If you really think about this, if you really meditate on this point, and the reason why, again, from a pragmatic viewpoint, is that what good does it do you to take offense, to consider yourself harmed in some way? It never does you any good. There's no circumstance in life where considering yourself harmed or taking offense has a positive result in your life, okay? We'll talk about forgiveness, about how to forgive in a second, but it's related to what I'm talking about now, which is it's easier to not have to forgive in the first place. Don't take offense, okay? Just realize shit happens, okay? One way that I view the whole world and I view people is that they're all robots, okay? Everybody but me is a robot. They're all running a program, okay? They're programmed to run their program, and they're just running their program. Okay, now, the reason why I say this is not because, I don't care about people, they're just robots. You know, some people, I say that and they're like, yeah, that's not a good way to look at life. Okay, don't misunderstand. What I'm saying about this is that I can't control their behavior. I can't control what they do. And they're sort of running their own program. We're all kind of running our own program anyway, okay? And so I don't take what people do to me as malicious. I don't take offense at it. I think, okay, this is just an ignorant person that's a robot that's running their program. They're not intending to actually harm me. They're ignorant. They don't understand what they're doing, okay? And they're causing me harm indirectly. Okay, they don't mean it. They don't understand what they're doing. If they truly understood what they were doing, they wouldn't cause harm. In fact, you know, I said this before, maybe in an interview, and I was talking about there's no such thing as evil. There's no evil people in the world. Okay, there's only ignorance. Okay, if everyone in the world had understanding, if they had true understanding, there would be no evil in the world. Okay, because what you perceive as malice and evil is just a lack of understanding. Okay, someone who has understanding, the more understanding that you have, okay, you could call it empathy, you could call it, perspective, okay? The more that you have that, the less that you take actions that harm other people and harm yourself. Why? Because it's just, you do it out of ignorance. You don't realize what the implications of your actions are. You don't realize the damage you're causing. You don't realize the reality of life and situation. So the more that you become enlightened, the more that you become understanding of reality, okay? The more that you accept the reality that it is, and you gain that understanding, the less that you will do bad things, right? Okay, again, good and bad. It's just a way that we describe things. It doesn't really exist. Even Shakespeare said, "Nothing is good or bad, but thinking makes it so." Right? So again, I want to come from this perspective. I want to say that it's easier to not have to forgive, and that's how you should be operating in your life. Now, again, we're not perfect. I'm not perfect. Do I ever get upset at people? Do I ever take offense? Of course I do. Okay. It's rare now. I'll be honest with you. Okay. I used to take offense at everything. Someone looked at me the wrong way, I'd be like, what the fuck? Right. Someone didn't do exactly what I wanted. They treated me, some way that I didn't like, whatever it was, I would be offended all the time. They said something I didn't like, I'd be offended. Okay. That's how I used to live my life. I don't anymore. I don't take offense at it takes a lot to make me take offense. I don't take offense at very many things. And the reason why is because I don't need to. It doesn't serve me any purpose. Again, like I said, if everyone's a robot, if everyone's an NPC running their own script, and that's really the situation, it doesn't matter. In fact, in Dale Carnegie's book, in How to Win Friends and Influence People, okay, there's a part in the book where he talks about this serial killer guy, and he basically says that, look, here's the thing, like when you're dealing with people, he says, look, if you had that person's DNA, if you came from their family, if you had their environmental factors, right, their upbringing or whatever it was, their circumstance in life, okay, and you had their DNA, you would do exactly what they do. You would think exactly like they think. So you can't really blame anyone for anything, because you would, in their situation, with their genetics, you would do exactly what they did, and you would think exactly. So to blame someone and to be upset at someone and to feel like someone has caused harm to you is ridiculous, because you would do the same thing. It's not like you determined what your DNA was going to be. It's not like you determined what your family and environment was going to be. Now, you've made choices in your life, but a lot of those choices were the result of the actions that already happened to you. Again, we're not getting into a free will versus, a destination or whatever debate. Okay. But it's important for you to understand that. Okay. And that's just a good perspective to have in life, is to realize that people are just a result of their DNA and their environment. And it's not personal. Okay. Don't take things personal. Okay. Now, let's talk about how to actually forgive people. All right. Secret. I already gave you the answer, right? The answer was the same way that you need to forgive people, which is that when someone does something, like let's say that you're harboring some bitterness to someone because of something that they did to you. You let it go by realizing that people just do things, that you don't have control over it, and that there's no benefit in you perceiving harm. There's no benefit to you. There's only a negative. And that's why I said understanding is the key, right? If you can truly understand in that situation that that's actually harming you, you're poisoning yourself from the inside, right? Bitterness, one person said, I don't remember the exact quote, is that it's drinking poison in order to harm someone else. Okay. That's what bitterness is. Okay. And that's what you have. And so if you have the understanding and recognition that bitterness is actually harming you, that holding on to the hurt that someone did on you, really that you allowed to be done on you, because no one can harm you unless you allow them to, but holding on to that harm and counting it as harm and counting it as a loss and counting it as negative, it's harming you. It's harming you further. So as soon as you gain that understanding, what would you naturally do? You would let go, right? If you were like John, let me tell you something, man. My arm, it fucking hurts. It hurts. It just hurts all the time, right? Especially when I flex my arm, it hurts. And I was like, oh, you know what? I see the problem. See that? You have a thorn in your arm. It's stuck right in there, right? What would you do? What would you do? You would take the fucking thorn out and be like, oh, thanks. There you go. Right? You wouldn't be like, oh, no, that's not it. Or, oh yeah, there's a thorn there, but it still hurts. Right? You would take the thorn out. So why am I saying this? Because if I'm like, look, not forgiving someone and being bitter at them and holding on to the harm is causing you pain, and you actually recognize it, like maybe you're doing when you're watching this video, what are you automatically going to do? Just like taking the thorn out, you're going to let go of whatever you're holding on to. You're going to let go of that harm, the right to feel harmed about something, the right to feel that you've been wronged. You're going to let go of that because it's actually destructive and hurting you. Okay. The trick is really understanding and believing and recognizing that what I'm telling you is true, because it absolutely is true. And you can test that. Think about it. Test that in your own life. Test that in other people's life. Sometimes the best way to develop a principle for living your life is to look at some other person's life and apply that principle. And then you can see that it applies to you, right? Again, let's pretend like it's not you, right? Whatever thing that you're not forgiving someone about or that you've got some bitterness about. Instead, I want you to think of someone you know who isn't forgiving someone. And I want you to think about how that unforgiveness is actually causing them harm. Think about how it's making them a more bitter person and how it's like a wound that never heals because they're not allowing it to heal because they keep on picking the scab. Every day they're picking the scab, right? You know a person like that, I'm sure you do, right? What would make logical sense for them to do? Okay, now, does this make it easy to let go of things? No. So let's talk about that real quick, all right? So, and by the way, before we jump into this, if you haven't joined already, click the link down below, $7 to join the Bulldog Mindset membership. Awesome group of men, over 900 strong, learning to be stronger men, improve their lives, become better financially, physically with women, all those things. Live Q&As every month where you can ask me questions, community, Facebook group and Discord server, new videos every single week that are exclusive to the membership and a lot of other stuff, book club in there, all kinds of fun stuff. All right. Now, let's talk about what he said here. So he said, you've made videos related to this topic, including not putting expectations on people and taking full responsibility for your own life. Okay. So here's the thing. Okay. I know what I'm saying is difficult, but if you don't put expectations on people and you don't allow people to put expectations on you, then you can't be wronged. Okay. If I don't have an expectation, you can't violate that expectation. All right. See, I try to live my life saying, you know what? Anyone at any point may do anything, and I'm okay with that. I won't like it, okay? I won't like if people that should be loyal to me in some way, betray my trust. I won't like it, but I'm fully aware that it could happen, and I'm okay with it, okay? Again, it doesn't mean that I'm jaded. It doesn't mean that I'm expecting people to do bad things to me. I just know that I'll survive. Okay. And I don't have an expectation for them not to do it. All right. I just, if it happens, it happens. I'll react the way that I need to react in order to resolve the situation and deal with it. Right. Okay. And again, that comes down to that second thing of taking full responsibility for your own life. And so if you're like waiting for someone to come and save you and to save you from your bitterness and to like give you your vindication and your justice, it's not going to happen. You're responsible. You're responsible for your feelings. Okay, you're responsible for that. So you get to decide. I mean, you can be angry and you can have the victim mindset and you can be upset about things and you can be like, and you can cry. Doesn't change anything. No one else gives a fuck. No one cares. No one's going to fix your life. Only you are. So you have to take full responsibility for it. So that's how you do it. That's how you actually execute and forgive these things. You have to let go. You have to let go. See, and here's the last thing I'll say about this real quick, okay? Which is this. See, I often ask people, when I'm having these, because I've had some heart-to-hearts with people where they don't want to forgive, they want to let go. I can't believe this person did this to me. I'm never going to let them get away with this. I'm never going to forgive them. I'm never going to forget about this thing. It's so wrong, okay? And I ask them, well, would you like justice then? Would that cure it if I gave you justice? So here, if I had a knife and I'm like, all right, take your justice on this person. Okay, go ahead. You want to cut off their finger? Cut off their finger. I know I'm being a little bit vulgar here, but I want you to really get the point here. Okay, no pun intended. All right, if I have a knife and I'm like, all right, here's a person who did you wrong. Go ahead, take your pound of flesh. Go ahead, whatever you want to cut off, cut off. Go ahead. What's the justice that you want to do? How should we punish them? Let's put it that way. What do you want? What do you want done to them? You want them to be flogged? Should we whip them? Should we, what do you want them to be done to them? Whatever you do to them, do you think that will make you any better? Do you think it will improve your life in any way? Do you think you'll feel any amount of satisfaction from having them harmed? Okay, so the reason why I say this is because the reason why you can't let go is because you're seeking justice. You feel a sense of injustice. And you feel that in your heart, if you got that justice, that you would be able to let go, that you'd be able to move on. But you won't. That's the thing. I want you to go through the mental exercise and think. If you had that person, you could do whatever you want to them, back to them. You could harm them in whatever way. Do you think that would make you even feel an ounce better? All right. If you really sit down and think about it, I hand you the knife, right? If I hand you the knife and I'm like, do what you will, I think you'll find it will not improve you in any way. In fact, it'll just make you'll just feel bad. Okay. You don't really want justice. What you need to do is realize that justice won't solve it. And that's how you let go.